Hello everyone! Today we're going to be doing a stained glass repair. It's going to be pretty easy. It's a Suncatcher just made with glass nuggets. And as you can see here, one of the nuggets is cracked, so we're going to replace that one. I'm going to start off by getting my workspace ready and getting all of my tools ready. So I've got the replacement nugget here, and I'll get my soldering iron, my flux brush, my flux, and my solder. Just get everything arranged so you can see everything that I'm doing here. So the flux that I use is Fluxamatic, and I'm going to apply that everywhere I need to melt the solder away, so on both sides of that broken nugget. And I'm going to start by taking off the jump ring. So I just need to heat it up a little bit and the solder will melt and off comes the jump ring super easy. Now, I just realized that my soldering iron is really gross. It's got a lot of black crusty stuff on it, so I'm using my sal ammoniac block to clean it off so I can continue melting away all of the excess solder. So front and back, I need to melt away as much of the solder as possible because that's going to make it really easy to remove that broken nugget. Just melting away on both sides, and flip it around and melt it away over here as well. And I just let the solder that I'm melting away fall down onto my work table because I'm actually going to reuse that when I solder the new nugget into place. So I'll just remove every bit of solder that I can, and then I'm going to push just a little bit with my soldering iron tip, and that loosens the broken nugget, and then I'll just melt away the remaining solder holding the foil from that nugget in place. And so I just melted together the two balls of solder and attached it to the end of my spool of solder. That just makes it a little bit easier to reuse when I'm putting the new nugget in place. Alright, so now this new nugget is in place. It fits beautifully, so I'm going to add flux. Okay, so there's a little bit of solder on my workboard. I'll pick that up and a little bit of extra, and I'll just get it tacked in place. And tacking just means adding a little bit of solder so it doesn't move around on you. So now I'm building up the solder a little bit and flux a little bit more because I probably didn't get it fully covered initially, and flux in the back so I can solder the back as well. And I'm tinning around the back of the nugget, and that'll make it a lot easier to build up the edges of solder around the nugget. And then I'm just building up more solder, make it nice and sturdy, make it look pretty. And I'm gonna start building up the edges around that nugget. So I'm just adding solder to the outside of the nugget, and that's gonna add strength, and it also looks really nice. I'm just working my way around that nugget. Kind of have to get it from every angle. That's looking pretty good. And whenever you do the edges of solder, the front and back usually need a little bit of a touch up. So that's what I'm doing here. And that looks good. So now I'm gonna get ready to solder the jump ring back on. I'll clean up, get rid of the broken nugget, get that out of my way. And I will take needle nose pliers again and line up the opening of the jump ring with the solder line that I'm soldering it to. That way it'll be nice and sturdy and it won't come apart over the years. So I'll just line that up and pick up a little bit of solder and solder that into place. So I like to add a lot of solder to my jump rings. I like to completely cover the ring with solder so you can't even tell where the edge of the jump ring is. That also adds a lot of stability for the long term because it's less likely to break away from the Suncatcher if it's fully encased in solder. So now that I've got it soldered on there, I'm going to look at it from the front and smooth out any lumps or bumps in the solder, because gravity will pull it down and it'll look a little bit lumpy once you put the jump ring on back. And then I'll do a quick check on back, and it looks like there's a little spot that needs to be smoothed. And my solder's not playing nice, so that's my cue to add more flux and give it another try, and perfect. So here it is, all repaired and looking beautiful. And now that this sun catcher is fixed, it is ready to be hung back in someone's window once again. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you again soon.